Dr. Sarah Robertson had always wanted to be a doctor ever since she was a little girl. Her passion for medicine started when she lost her father to cancer when she was just 8 years old. She wanted to help people like her father, to make sure that no other family had to go through the same pain and suffering that hers had endured. Sarah grew up in a small town in the Midwest. She was the only child of her parents and was raised by her mother, who worked as a nurse in a local hospital. Her mother was her role model and the reason why Sarah decided to pursue a career in medicine. Sarah was an exceptional student, and she excelled in science and math. She went to a prestigious university and graduated at the top of her class. She then went on to attend medical school, where she worked tirelessly to achieve her dream of becoming a doctor. After completing her medical training, Sarah decided to specialize in oncology, the branch of medicine that deals with cancer. She wanted to help people like her father, to find a cure for the disease that had taken his life. She landed a job at a world-renowned cancer center in New York City. Sarah's first few years at the cancer center were challenging. She worked long hours, often staying late into the night to make sure her patients received the best care possible. She saw firsthand the toll that cancer took on people's lives, and it was heartbreaking. One day, Sarah met a patient named Emma. Emma was a young woman who had been diagnosed with breast cancer. She was scared and alone, and she had no family or friends to support her. Sarah took Emma under her wing, and she became her friend and confidant. She listened to Emma's fears and worries, and she did everything she could to make her feel comfortable and safe. Sarah treated Emma with kindness and compassion, and she gave her hope when there seemed to be none. Emma underwent chemotherapy and radiation treatments, and she started to improve. Her cancer was in remission, and she was given a second chance at life. But just as Emma was starting to get better, Sarah received some devastating news. She had been diagnosed with breast cancer herself. She was shocked and scared, and she couldn't believe that the disease she had been fighting against for years had now come for her. Sarah had to take a leave of absence from work to undergo treatment. She underwent surgery and chemotherapy, and she lost all her hair. She was weak and tired, and she was in constant pain. But even in the darkest moments of her life, Sarah never gave up. She fought the disease with everything she had, and she refused to let it defeat her. Sarah's cancer eventually went into remission, and she returned to work at the cancer center. But she was a different person now. She had a newfound appreciation for life, and she saw her patients in a new light. She treated them with even more compassion and understanding, knowing firsthand what they were going through. Sarah's dedication to her work never wavered, and she became known as one of the most compassionate and skilled oncologists in the world. She continued to help people like her father and Emma, people who were fighting for their lives against a disease that threatened to take everything away from them. In the end, Sarah's legacy was not just as a skilled doctor but as a compassionate and caring person who had touched the lives of countless people. She had shown that even in the darkest moments of life, there is always hope, and that with determination and strength, anything is possible. Miss Emily Evans was a beloved teacher at Oakwood Middle School. She had been teaching for over 20 years, and during that time, she had touched the lives of thousands of students. She was kind, patient, and understanding, and she had a way of making every student feel valued and heard. Emily grew up in a small town in the Midwest. She was the oldest of 4 children, and her parents were both teachers. They instilled in her a love of learning and a passion for education, and she knew from a young age that she wanted to be a teacher too. After graduating from college, Emily landed her first teaching job at Oakwood Middle School. She was nervous at first, but she quickly fell in love with the job. She loved the energy and enthusiasm of the students, and she enjoyed helping them learn and grow. Emily was a natural teacher, and she had a way of making even the most difficult subjects seem easy. She was patient with her students, and she never gave up on them even when they struggled. Her classroom was a safe space where every student felt welcomed and accepted. One year, Emily was assigned to teach a group of students who were considered to be at risk. These were students who had been struggling academically and were in danger of falling behind. Emily was determined to help them, and she put in extra time and effort to make sure they understood the material. But Emily's dedication to her students went beyond just teaching them academic subjects. She also cared about their well-being and their personal growth. She listened to their problems and concerns, and she gave them advice and guidance when they needed it. One of Emily's students, a girl named Lily, had been struggling with anxiety and depression. She had been bullied by other students, and she felt like she didn't belong. Emily saw how much pain Lily was in, and she took it upon herself to help her. She talked to Lily, listened to her, and helped her find the resources she needed to get the support she required. But as the school year went on, Emily's own health started to deteriorate. She had been feeling tired and run down, and she started to experience some alarming symptoms. She was diagnosed with a serious autoimmune disease that would require her to take a leave of absence from work. The news was devastating to Emily's students and colleagues. They knew how much she loved teaching, and they were worried about her health. But Emily was determined to fight the disease and get better. She underwent treatments and surgeries, and she worked hard to regain her strength and energy. During this time, Emily's students stepped up to support her in any way they could. They made cards and brought her flowers, and they sent her messages of encouragement. They missed her in the classroom, but they knew that she was fighting a battle that was much bigger than any test or assignment. After several months, Emily was finally able to return to work. She was greeted with open arms by her students and colleagues, who were thrilled to see her again. She was still battling her disease, but she refused to let it hold her back. In the end, Emily's legacy was not just as a skilled teacher but as a caring and compassionate person who had made a difference in the lives of so many. Her students knew that they could always turn to her for help and guidance, and they knew that she believed in them even when they didn't believe in themselves. Emily had shown that even in the face of adversity, there is always hope, and that with determination and a positive attitude, anything is possible. Lena had always been a striking figure, even as a child. Her height and graceful build made her stand out in any crowd, and she was used to turning heads wherever she went. But it wasn't until she was scouted by a modeling agent at the age of 17 that she realized her natural beauty could be a ticket to a different life. Lena had grown up in a small town, and she had always dreamed of seeing the world. Modeling seemed like the perfect opportunity to travel and experience new cultures, while also making a good living. She quickly signed with a prestigious agency, and soon found herself on runways and in photo shoots in some of the world's most glamorous locations. At first, modeling was everything Lena had hoped for. She loved the thrill of walking down the runway in beautiful clothes, and she enjoyed the attention that came with being a successful model. But as time went on, she began to feel the pressure of the industry. The constant scrutiny of her appearance, the long hours in travel, and the pressure to maintain a certain weight and size all took their toll. Lena tried her best to keep up with the demands of the job, but it seemed like there was always something she needed to change. She was told her hips were too wide, her nose was too big, or her skin wasn't clear enough. She tried to brush off the criticism and focus on the positives, but it was hard not to feel like she was constantly falling short. As the years went by, Lena's success as a model started to wane. She wasn't getting as many bookings as she used to, and she started to feel like her time in the industry might be coming to an end. But then, she received an offer that would change her life. A well-known designer was looking for a model to be the face of their new campaign. But they didn't want just any model, they wanted someone who was unique and inspiring, someone who represented more than just a pretty face. Lena was hesitant at first, but she was intrigued by the idea of being a part of something meaningful. The campaign was a huge success, and Lena quickly became a symbol of diversity and inclusivity in the fashion industry. She started receiving messages from young girls who said they looked up to her as a role model, and she realized that her success had a greater purpose than just looking good in photos. But with the newfound attention came a new set of challenges. Lena was no longer just a model, she was a public figure, and she had to be careful about the messages she was sending. She became more vocal about issues she cared about, like body positivity and mental health, and she used her platform to advocate for change. Lena's advocacy work brought her a lot of attention, but it also brought her criticism from some corners. She was told she was too opinionated or too outspoken, and some people in the industry were wary of working with her. But Lena refused to be silenced, and she continued to use her voice to speak up for what she believed in. Years went by, and Lena's career continued to evolve. She took on new roles, like hosting and producing, and she continued to be an advocate for positive change in the fashion industry. She was proud of the work she had done and the impact she had made, but she also knew that the fight for greater inclusivity and diversity was far from over. Lena had come a long way since her early days as a model, and she had learned a lot about herself and the world in the process. She knew that there were still challenges ahead, but she was ready to face them head-on, with the same determination and grace that had gotten her this far.